Hello everyone, it's Ark here, and did you know that MST negates? I'm here of course today to talk about the new Magnificent archetype, which everyone is talking about because, after all of these years, Mystical Space Typhoon finally negates. I'm sure you've already seen the reveals from this deck, and possibly even some build guides, most of which I've seen have been focusing on the deck synergy with Runic. Since there are already so many guides around showing off how to play the deck, I instead want to focus on a small 4-card engine from the archetype, which I think is incredibly splashable and likely to see play in a massive variety of decks after the release in Doom of Dimensions later this year. Of course, we all know Speedrite Terratop and his partner in crime, Tucket Tomborg, who, for the low cost of playing 1 Garnet and 3 starters in main, have spent the last decade allowing us to put 2 level 3 bodies on the field without using a normal summon. That is, for the time when Terratop was not serving on the limited or semi-limited list. This simple engine has seen use in hundreds of decks to do everything from using Cherubini to set up adventure plays, full Crystron combo, Dante Mill Scarm, the Silhouette Rabbit into Argastar combo, full Fiendsmith combo by way of Moon, Goblin Biker shenanigans, the Phantom Knights of breakneck combos, and the list just keeps going on. But I think the Magnificent engine has officially power crept Terratop, and may put him to rest entirely, or they might even see play next to him in decks that want a lot of level 3 extension. The Magnificent cards I want to focus on today are Erdam, Suen, Magala, and the quick play spell, Stanza Tribute. All 3 of these monsters are level 3 winds that can special summon themselves from your hand if your opponent controls no spells or traps, or if you have Mystical Space Typhoon in your graveyard. Erdam is a beast that searches for any Magnificent monster or MST on his summon. Suen is a beast warrior that searches for any Magnificent spell or MST on summon. And Magala is a fairy that can summon another Magnificent monster from the deck if you use a quick play spell while he's on the field. But this effect will windlock you, so it will not come up in every deck. Stanza Tribute allows you to search for any level 4 or lower Magnificent monster from the deck, or MST from the deck or grave. This means that when playing a ratio of 3 Erdam, 3 Suen, 3 Stanza Tribute, and 1 Magala, you essentially have 6 different starters, each of which will end on 3 bodies on the field, without using your normal summon, and 3 starters that will get you 2 bodies on the field, without using your normal summon, while playing only 1 soft Garnet, who can still summon himself from the hand if you open with him. The line, if you open Erdam, is to search Suen, who will search Stanza Tribute to search Magala. If you open Suen, you search Stanza Tribute to search Erdam, who then searches Magala. And if you open Stanza Tribute, you can search for any of the appropriate monsters during the draw phase to play around Droll. And if you open Magala, he's a special summon from hand for free. Since the engine requires a clear field from your opponent, you may consider siding it all out going second, or siding in Mystical Space Typhoon, since the engine gives you 4 different ways to search it if you go up against back row decks. This engine solos Terratop, as it has a better ratio of starters to Garnets, and ends on an additional body, with the option to pivot into searching for back row removal. But keep in mind that it does still lose to Droll in the same way that Terratop does, which is part of the reason that Terratop has fallen out of favor in recent Crystron lists. The from hand summons on these monsters are all inherent, meaning that they will also not activate the abilities of your opponent's K9 personas. In a lot of ways, I would compare them to the gameplay of sprites without the level locks. Unlike my previous videos, I will not be covering a variety of combos for this archetype. Instead, I have short replays from a few different decks, all starting with 1 Erdam in hand, aiming to show off how versatile the engine can be. Special thanks to Wabaki, aka Duel Perfect, for his Salamanic Great combo, and to Mr. Multi-Loads himself, FeralImp, for his Speedrite combo. And remember, There's at least a dozen other decks that would also love to play these, so go stretch your deck building magic. I'll sign off here, but please stick around for the replays, and remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit me with any feedback you may have. It's really helpful since I've just started the channel, and I'm aiming to make every video better than the last. That's all from me. I hope you have a good one.